Welcome, everybody, to the April 2024 meeting of Manhattan Community Board's Land Use, Zoning, and Economic Development Committee. I'm Patrick Cannell, Chair of the committee. My co-chair, Laura Starr, is online, and Chair of Community Board 1, Kenny Meltzer, is right here with us. We had two items on our agenda tonight, but we're going to switch the order around. As a courtesy, we typically allow applicants with by-the-hour lawyers to go first.
I only
know.
If it had been by the hour, I would have.
In any event, if you guys don't mind, the first item will be the PSA application for 88 Pine Street to request an amendment to the previously granted variance to allow construction of vestibules in the plaza. So the presenter will come up, introduce yourselves, take it away. Up here, be great. Just keep in mind, folks, the owls are on. The owls pick up everything. That is our main sound and recording device, particularly for members of the committee, members of the audience. Any whispers, that sort of thing, get picked up by those owls, and they do pick up everything.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, members of the public. My name is Frederick Becker. I am an attorney representing the building at 88 Pine Street. The chair said this is an application to construct two vestibules within the plaza. We appeared before you in January. There were several questions raised. The purpose of the vestibule, and we have the architect from IMT here who will go through the application, the presentation for you, is to provide compliant handicap access, which we do not currently have, and it is in accordance with the current energy conservation code. The building was constructed pursuant to a variance back in approximately 1980. Certain conditions, the building maxed out a floor area and then had additional floor area provided. This would require an additional amount of floor area for the construction of the vestibule in the plaza. We think it is rational and reasonable. We cannot take, it was raised last time, we cannot take space within the building because in order to construct 300 square feet of vestibule space, we need to remove 3,600 square feet of space within the building, which is available to be removed. We believe that this is appropriate and provide handicap accessibility, which does not exist in a compliant manner now. And we think it is tasteful without adversely impacting on the plaza. And we're available for any questions. I will, at the moment, or I will let.
Question, we saw this like less than 2 months ago. Most people were here. So we don't need to necessarily, I think, run through a whole elaborate 45-page thing, do we?
It's not 45.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You were not here?
I didn't remember it well, so I like.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
Get a refresher.
Just saying it, 2 months, it's not all long. Okay.
my presentation is basically completed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's the story.
Mike,
I heard about IFA though.
tell us again the reason for doing this.
We do not have compliant handicap accessibility into the building at this point.
And they also want something else.
No, they need a special permit or some sort of action to
In
allow.
order to provide the handicap compliance, again, there is not handicap.
That's the
compliant.
purpose, provide handicap.
Handicap compliance. It is not.
Into the building.
Into the building. And in order to do so, you have there, Ms. Bode will explain, there are certain requirements in terms of vestibule space, et cetera. This allows for proper vestibule space in a reasonable manner with limited intrusion. It's not part of a grand scheme to beautify the building or to get more rent for the landlord. It is solely for this access space. And it is in the side plaza. Water Street is not in the main plaza where Pine Street effectively is in terms of where the seating is and all the amenities are. So it's off to the side.
Okay.
A question, is that like that where there's a T, no traffic?
Yeah, they switched.
There's no T, it's right on.
Is
Is there another address that says they don't show it?
Presentation.
Just.
Is that how you're taking a presentation?
No, this is fine. This is
Okay,
fine.
we have slides.
So it hasn't presented yet.
I did,
Yeah.
I just finished.
But
We had a brief.
Time out.
Sorry, I thought it was the second
The
thing.
attorneys presented.
Okay.
The architect is here on hand to answer questions. There are also a couple of drawings, which I think members of the committee asked for last time. Forgive me, I don't know the name of the
You
architect.
have some renderings as opposed to just the plans.
Right. So I think we've got exterior, is that the rendering with the vestibule?
That is the, I'll let Ms. Bowden come up here and explain it. That is the existing facade at the moment.
You're welcome to walk us through
Yeah.
the slides.
Please.
Yeah.
Am I? Thanks.
Yes.
I would have appeared without a black eye. It was a freak yoga accident at my daughter's Girl Scout troop, so sorry. I want to show you this that you asked for. So this is the existing condition outside and then the proposed with the two vestibules, the sliding doors. And it may be helpful to just talk through the plans for a moment. So if you could switch to the file that's called existing.
You want me to go through the third view?
Oh, you can, if you like, but then let's go back to that too. It may be- just for context, as you're pulling that up, I've worked in this building for 20 years. I've been with Haycock Freedom Partners, and I just joined the partnership 9 months ago. And this building's important to me professionally, but also personally, because I do work here. So here's what's going on. This is the existing condition. You can see, the next page, please. I'm sorry, one more after that. So here's the existing lobby plan. You see that there's the 3 revolving doors and then the swinging doors, which don't have the required ADA compliant flat surface to the push and pull side of the door. Also, just as a tidbit, those 3 doors were there because, as you see in the center of the plan, there's an escalator. This was initially supposed to have been an entry to the subway, which never got built. So that's part of why in 1977, before I was born, it was decided to put that many doors in. So now if we switch to the proposed plan, please. So here we're adding these vestibules. So there's 2 things happening here. One is compliance with the 2020 New York City Energy Code. This will be the 4th storefront renovation I'm doing in Manhattan under that new code. And what happens is that code specifically eliminated the ability to provide swing doors adjacent to a revolver that don't have a vestibule. So a vestibule meaning that you have to be able to open and close one door before you open and close the next. So it kind of took away that loophole in the energy code. And so our solution here is actually to provide the sliding doors in a vestibule configuration so that there's one way of getting in regardless of your accessibility needs. So this is what you're seeing in the plan. Yeah, you can just go to the enlarged plan to see that. And so that'll be ADA compliant and it'll also be energy code compliant, including all of the bells and whistles for the glass thermal performance. Of course, it's only a renovation of these couple of days, but we are going to be compliant with that. And that's consistent with how everything's. And there's just a time of.
I'm just slowly sliding through so the architects in the room can see.
Jason's has his hand up.
I am a big fan of Pay and this building. I live right by it. It's a shame it's not covered by some sort of preservation or whatever. And I'm just gonna lead with this, might not be the same feeling everybody, but I think it's as modest as you can make it. And I think it might be getting caught up in a lot of the Water Street text amendment vibes. And maybe, hopefully we can find a solution if you really do need to provide access to this building and that this is the only way.
Thanks, Jason. Alice, then Gerald, then Laura, I see your hand up online.
Is the current existing condition illegal in New York City at this point for those types of doors, those 3 doors? Are they
Illegal is not the correct word, non-compliant. Whereas it was legal when it was constructed, it remains legal to this day, but could not be constructed in this manner.
Right, but it is legal today. That's,
It is-
that's,
it is-
so you can use those doors today. So I just, I think that, the thing about this, I know this came up the last time is, it's understandable why this plan is being presented to us. You're taking over, I think, close to 400 square feet of city sidewalk. No, it's 12 by 16, that's close to, what is that, 192 square feet times two, with two vestibules. So I'm not sure how you get 12 by 16, it's 192, right? Times two is 384. So you're closer to 400 square feet of city sidewalk. And I know that as of right, I guess you are, we learned the last time, allowed to take that. You're creating basically a new advertising platform for 88. This now comes out 12 feet out of the building. That was city sidewalk, public sidewalk that you're taking to put, the new 88 and the new, I thought there was a sculpture or something involved. And, that's all, I guess, for some people, well and good. It certainly isn't for me personally, and I agree with Jason in the integrity of the original building. But what I remember asking, I think, talking about the last time was just to the north, the south of you, it's that wonderful additional space that you have, which is part of your privately owned public space, which is not in great shape and which doesn't have access to it from the building. And it just seems like this, if you're going to do this go to this sort of level of expense and, whatever it is that you're doing in terms of your involvement with the front of the building, the side of the building that's going out into that POPs, one, the POPs should be renovated. Two, there should be access from your building out to that POP so people can come in and out that way, or at least have utilization of that. I don't know why you can't upgrade that POPs, get the water to run again, get that space where it needs to be for the public before you take more public space for basically an advertising to the front of the building in a new sort of review of the building. And I still don't understand why you're not touching that existing POPs and making it better, more up to date, not more up to date, excuse me, maintained, better maintained. Why do we don't have the water in it, for example?
You raise a good point.
Thank you.
However, one is distinct from the other in terms of, the space is never, this is where the entrance has always been, and this is where they're renovating that at.
I appreciate that, but if you're gonna take from the public 385 square feet of space, you must give us something back, and I would maintain that's an easy give back to maintain and make that existing very beautiful POPs into something that the building would benefit from. It would absolutely put it on the map. I don't understand why developers don't see that.
We will both go back to the client and tell them.
Underline it.
Yes.
Thank you.
For sure.
Okay, good.
It's
Thank you.
definitely, though I will say, if we do make an entrance into the POPs, we'd have to take more space away. For another vestibule.
It's a design problem.
I don't say, my point is that taking away from the front of the building, the 400 square feet of public space, I'm not saying to enter from the side, I'm saying make what you have on the side, whether you, okay.
No argument there.
Okay.
Yes, it should be, if he's gonna spend the money doing this, he should spend the money.
And we shouldn't give it to you until you do that. Okay, thanks.
Gerald, then Laura, and then Vicky.
So the existing revolving doors are approximately what, 10 foot by 10 foot space? You got a 3-foot door on each side and,
Yeah, I think they're a little bit smaller than the 6'6" that's required now if you put in a new revolving door.
so, I mean, based off of the design, it looks like you have three doors, roughly 100 square feet apiece, so that's 300 square feet. So effectively, you're taking 300 square, you're adding 300 square feet to the lobby and then putting an additional 400 or 382 outside. Is that first off, I want to start off by saying that the design is very tasteful. So I have nothing to say against the design necessarily, but I'm just curious about the square footage. Am I reading this incorrectly?
Have you put up the plan? Maybe that'll help you see what's going on.
I'm looking on my phone, so.
Here you go.
So this is existing.
Okay.
Inside the space that they.
Right, so
versus
the three,
exterior space they don't.
It's all
right,
inside.
and so they're effectively
Show us proposed, please. New.
And plan.
taking over
There you go. There it is.
400 square feet, but they're also gaining an additional 300 square feet in that lobby,
Within their building.
within
Yeah.
their building.
This is not income producing space, so we're not.
I mean, you can't tell me that. It's not, it's gonna increase the value of the complete, every tenant has to pay for the space, right? I guess they're already paying
No,
for it, so I
where you-
apologize.
No, when you pay for space.
Yeah,
You pay only on your floor, including potential hallways. You don't, I mean, I'm a tenant in my building, and you don't pay for the lobby, you pay for your floor plus a part of the
Hold it
hallway.
in.
This is an issue, not an issue where we're now converting that whatever number of square foot, 100 or so, into retail space and getting more economic benefit. We're just making, there'll be more open area to wander around in the lobby. So I understand what you're saying, but it's not, I don't see any economic benefit to having more wander space in the inside area.
and there was no way of bumping these vestibules on the inside of the lobby?
We did study that, yeah, it was just really a pinch point, and right, and there's a multi-tenant lobby, so people are moving around, and these two doors on the east and west of, I'm sorry, on the north and south of the lobby go into tenant space, so that's people
Yeah,
enter their offices.
well, and I can see that what you're talking about, the pinch point, it would create, the corners would be really bad.
You have something that shows the awning in elevation, because I think that's an important point, that this is a base for a very large 11-foot.
Yes, there's the.
The awning part of the
No.
action, what is the action here? Pat, what are we doing? What are we here? Forget even that. I don't know if we want
It's a BSA application
to get out of what, doing what?
to amend the previously granted variance.
In other words, we require more floor area. So we are going back to amend the original approval to have, get the additional floor area to exceed the prior approved floor area.
Does it exceed the max FAR for the building? Like, the building is overbuilt?
Or the arbor.
And for now, obviously.
Yes.
Well, that's a big ask. So you
I
really,
agree.
and why, so like, that's actually like the most sacred ask of all, extra floor area? So can't you figure out, like, Gerald was a genius, carve it out of the thing, carve it out. It's ridiculous. You can't ask for more floor area now. I don't, do we have a set, so what do we, and then what are we here, are we here to, is there a statement of findings, or like, how, what is the, out of, what is not, oh, you say it's floor area, it's just the bulk, we're out of bulk.
It's out of bulk. Correct. Yes.
I spoke about it.
Right. Hold on, guys. So Laura, then Vicky,
I forgot.
then Rose.
Yes.
You too.
Well, okay, yeah, I wanted to, two things. I wanted to follow up on that floor area conversation, discussion. Are you saying that an ADA access with the proper air seal vestibule will not fit in the footprint of the current entrances?
Yeah,
Yeah.
By how many feet are we talking about?
so several, we've done other energy code compliant vestibules, and because of the dimension required between the doors, it would go further into the lobby.
Where, like, how far off? I mean, I'm a landscape architect. I have to deal with stuff like this. Like, how, you have a lot of architects in the room. I mean, what are we talking about here? Like, how much more would you have had to intrude on the inside of the building to have this punch into the lobby instead of taking up the public space?
Can you pull up your existing condition, maybe that?
Well, if there's 300 and then these are 400, or rather 380.
Yeah, but these are oversized. They don't need this. They don't need a 16-foot, 4-inch.
I mean, it would be 82 feet inside that they would be taking extra. I mean, that's not a lot.
Can't
It's
swing the doors in or something, or?
I mean,
These are
put the whole thing-
handicapped accessible conditions. I mean, this is what's a little misleading. I mean, those 3 doors are currently accessible. There are in fact people who are handicapped in
No.
your building because it's a challenge to use those doors. as
I've
you
used
probably
those
know.
doors
Yeah,
and it's
that was-
very difficult.
Okay.
Because there's not proper push-pull dimensions, so I had nowhere to stop to open the door. That's why.
But they-
Okay, I mean, okay, like, I guess, I mean, I would like to see your studies of trying to get it to work within the current openings, even if it had to punch into the space a little more. Like, I really feel like since you're trying to get more FAR, that, you should show us that, that at least one of these doors can't be converted to what you're trying to do. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I actually find the architecture of the extension, maybe we could go back to that picture. I find it I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to use the white steel column, framework of the building to punch out here. But the reason the building has those heavy frames is it's holding up like it's holding up architecture, a skyscraper. Here, it's just a little pavilion coming out. So it's heavy-handed for what you're trying to do. I mean, like I.M. Pei, what was great about his modern design there was that it was really expressing the structure that needed to be expressed to do the work it had to do. This doesn't have that work. So to me, it looks heavy and like it's kind of confusing the elegance of his building. That's all I got.
It's enough.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Vicky, and then we'll come back into the room.
Thank you, Patrick. So Laura, well said. We are not sympathetic to this request. You got your bonus, and we don't want to give you more of our sidewalk. In the end, it's a simple transaction. I will vote no if there are other options for ADA entrances. As an architect, design, there is always an option. But if, and this is a very big if, we have to give you 400 square feet of public space only under the condition of what you give us back. What are you going to give us back in exchange? Otherwise, it's an absolute no. And as I said, as an architect, I will be vociferous in this. Thank you, Patrick.
All right, Rosa.
I would actually say that it's not 400 square feet or 382 or whatever the calculation was. I would say it's actually more like 1,000 square feet, because the reality is, even though you have the two vestibules on either side, the space in between essentially becomes privatized for your entry and egress. So you're actually taking a much wider swath. It's essentially everything that is encompassed between those two blocks. And I do agree very much that I actually love the building exactly as it is from the exterior. And I do think that there's a really clean security to it. And I think that you guys are talented enough to be able to figure out how to make these handicap accessible vestibules occur within the footprint of the existing lobby. And I would urge you to do so.
Yeah, I'm gonna let the architects have the debate with you as to what's possible as an alternative, and the aesthetic. But I wanna underscore my agreement with both Alice and Vicky that, what you said earlier was that the other public space was a separate question. In fact, it's absolutely not a separate question. This is an issue of, you have gotten FAR for a give back to the community. And right now you're asking for additional FAR. And as Vicky said, you need to provide something back to the community for that. You did before, you need to do that here. You haven't done that as yet. You offered nothing back to the community at this point. And there are options, including what Alice suggested, but there may be others as well.
I can run out of, did you guys want to weigh in at all? You don't have to, just.
Can I just follow up on what Richard's saying, which is that in fact, it's actually like you're sort of coming to us in bad faith, not good faith, because the public space that you have right there, it's like you're sort of letting it go to rot.
Right.
And it feels like because of that, when you come back to ask for more, it seems incredibly disingenuous and vaguely insulting to the community, because these public spaces, I know that maybe for the original, designer or, they're like leftover spaces, but to us in the community where we have so little open space, those spaces are actually incredibly precious to us. And to see them not well maintained, to see them just broken down and just left, and obviously nobody's putting in the effort to repair and to upkeep those, then to come and ask us for more private things while still not keeping up your end of the bargain on the public, I think you understand where we're coming from as a community.
Since I am new to this, relatively speaking.
Bravo.
I have finished. Has the issue, just my own edification, has the issue of the failure to maintain or whatever, however you want to put it, been brought by the community board to the owners of the building?
So,
I'm just, it may be a yes.
the last time you were here, much of the commentary that was said is very similar. There were differences and difficulties because the presentation didn't have some of the, for example, the image, the drawing, the images, of what it would look like, but the conversation was nigh identical to the same questions.
I don't remember the issue about the failure to maintain. I remember a lot of issues, but I've never.
The issues that were absolutely raised were the building, the public space coming onto the public sidewalk, removal of public sidewalk, and the fact that there's nothing being given back to the public as a benefit. You're already over bulk, as you mentioned. These may be non-compliant, but there could be opportunities which would probably not be in your client's first choice of preference to go interior to the building, which I understand that because it takes off square footage from the interior of your lobby, making it feel more crowded, making it feel less desirable from an interior perspective. But we're looking at the public space on the outside. And we said last time, what can you come back to us with you're taking off? And Alice was the one doing calculations again at the last time, saying X number of square feet and things like that. So I'm very appreciative that you've returned with the drawings, which give a better explanation of what the architect envisioned for the front and the elevations and things like that. But the core questions that we asked at that meeting about coming out onto the public sidewalk and what public give back, other than handicap access, which is not perhaps as fantastic as you would like it at the moment. But we also haven't seen anything that addressed any of the public questions. So the drawings are better, the presentation is significantly better, and I appreciate all the hard work, but we also haven't seen anything that answered the other basic questions that we asked.
Right, as I said, I do not remember the issue about givebacks or the poor condition of the plaza, but if it happened, it happened. There was so much going on that was.
I would also just add, I mean,
The last hearing was a mess.
when it comes to the condition of public plazas and public spaces, this community board, this committee has been on this issue for years, even since the former comptroller, Scott Stringer, issued an audit many years ago that audited the Department of Buildings and their enforcement of these kinds of plazas. And that's really the problem, is the enforcement. And it's not up to the community board and a group of 50 volunteers who take their time to go to each property within their several communities in their district and let them know when they're not.
I understand, and I'm not faulting the community board, and I'm not saying that you should have, I'm just asking if, as I have experience with several hundred other applications where I'm told, oh, we approached the owner year after year, we've sent letters to X, Y, or Z, and that's all I was asking. I'm not holding you responsible. It's not your responsibility to enforce the law. I'm just asking if it was done. That's all.
Richard, you had one more point?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify what I was saying a little bit, which is that from my perspective, I don't dispute or argue the purpose of what you're doing. The ADA compliance and environmental compliance is certainly laudable, but we have these other issues. So
And they're very
I just wanted to put that on the record.
That's understandable, and what I would think is that there might, as we progress with this and go forward before it comes to a final decision, either here at the Board of Standards and Appeals, that we perhaps discuss what the community might consider, other than the water running, might be an appropriate give back that would make this amenable to. That's the answer. In other words, before we come back and say, okay, we'll put 6 more chairs in or 10 more chairs, and you say, no, that's not enough, what your thoughts might be, since you live here, you work here and, you know, let us know.
I think it would be super amazing to see a great piece of public art in the middle of the plaza. And is there a plan to program or activate the plaza? In fact, there is a beautiful piece there.
There is a
Um,
beautiful piece.
But there's one difficulty because the current POPs area.
Would you mind saying your name for the
Sorry,
record?
this is Jung from Backup. Because the current POP area is not only owned by Native Pine, also by the 100 Wall Street. So it shares two properties, and then, I think the current owner, I think, how maintains. There's a bit of a conflict and a complicated condition there. In order for them to upgrade everything, just to. Is there some sort of other building involved in that?
There is, the plaza is shared with our building and the adjacent building.
What's the address of the adjacent building? On the
Corner wall.
100 wall.
All right, noted.
100 wall.
Which,
That's just that.
100 wall, yeah, what does it look like? So we can, maybe you can bring up a picture of this so-called plaza or?
No, it's more than a sofa, those are true.
No,
Is it where the FedEx? Then there's a FedEx?
Yeah.
Well, I know it because I live right by it.
The water
Oh,
feature.
Full through block.
I know it, I know.
Okay.
But from the-
Guys,
This is what it looks like.
There.
There it is. I mean, that's.
So our building is, our property is the building to the left. You see the dotted line, that is our zoning lot. The plaza is
The building that
between
we're
our
talking
building
about is
and the building to the right, which is a blue map.
So it's called.
So therefore, we
So this
share the
plaza
plaza.
is-
But current owner.
Hey, Rosa, Richard, sorry, those things are gonna take out.
Are all those trees there on Water Street that I see drawn? Is that true? Are those trees? Yeah. And they're there? Yep, they're wonderful.
Can I address the question of a community amenity, like there would be a trade?
That was, Laura, and then Laura, the last words, and then we should vote.
I just had a question. Is this Paycroft Freed's project? I missed that. You're with Paycroft Freed, right? So this is something that your firm completely wants to see, like Sandy Pay is all about it, right? He doesn't work there
For a
anymore?
very long time.
Oh,
But
okay.
This building was actually designed by Joe McCready, who passed away.
Well, okay, it's their firm, whatever. I just was curious.
My partner, Jose Vergara, designed that. And
Okay, he designed the
This.
The build- renovation, okay?
Only 1972.
Because I remember during a history of looking at these pops very carefully that Sandy Pay did very much opine on this very plaza. I'll have to go back to my notes about it, but I was just curious what his thoughts are on that. And I would be, in answer to your question, very curious what the masters of that period were saying as to what could or couldn't be done then in that very plaza. I didn't realize it was a co-owned plaza. So your dilemma here is that you're unable, that your developer might be willing to do half, but the other developer wouldn't be willing to maintain or upgrade their half? Is that what you're saying?
I'm pretty sure that building's on.
The one on the.
We're looking for you off.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Thank
you.
I think it's a valid thing to bring that to the owner though, but it is, as John Ruth points out, a little bit messy.
Laura and then Joe.
To me, what the amenity for the community is the beautiful architecture of the building as it is now. So you're taking that away. And that's the problem I have. I think if we're going to ask for a trade of some improvement to open space, I wouldn't limit it to the plaza. I would ask for a donation to the park that Rose is creating, or to the Battery, or one of our other open spaces. I think we should think more broadly about it. Just to repeat, I think that the building itself is the amenity and is the best architecture on Water Street.
I agree. Thank you, Laura.
I'm more interested in the integrity of the building. I want give backs, but I'm really more interested in the integrity of the building.
Okay. So our dilemma is that they're on the calendar for the PSA in May, so we need to get a resolution done now. So as Jeff Probst would say, is downtown to vote. What are we gonna do here? Is it just sounds like a hard no?
Yeah.
I don't even, see, there are conditions we could articulate that would make this workable for the majority of the committee.
Well, I
Feeling
like,
that right?
I like the building the way it is.
Which would make
No.
a no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a no.
Yeah. Is there anyone who feels strongly another direction? Personally, I like it, I ain't fine, but I'm the only voice I think.
No, I'm more with you in terms of with conditions.
I'm not sure what the conditions, yeah, we could
They'll
fully
put some
articulate.
benches and that'll be their condition.
You just heard from everybody pretty
Yeah.
much that
And by the way, when I go back to the YouTube and review and put together our resolution, you know, the wishes of the community will find their way into whereas.
Did anyone from the community sign up to speak?
Not with a hand up. So.
Okay.
The only other thing I want to mention is when you do the stuff for the write-up for the resolution, I'm gonna go on record saying it doesn't make a difference to me if the next door neighbor's for sale or not. The ability to do any upgrades in the pot to have half of it, having and being the lead who is looking to take away the public space on the other side. However, for whatever reasons, and it's a laudable goal for why, but we're really not getting anything from a building that's already, as you said, at over bulk. So there should have been an incentive to work with, and I'm sure they'd want to beautify that area as well if they're gonna sell it. So it shouldn't have been an impediment to getting something done. It should actually be a benefit.
We're not saying it's an impediment, we're just raising the occupancy, that's all. And again, we can do what we can do on our side. If we can't work with them, we can't work with them, and we'll have to work on half the plaza.
So is this setting up? I've heard where we are as a committee for the most part, but is this setting up, if this were to go forward, is this also setting a precedent for that other building? The neighboring building that is possibly for sale? Okay.
No.
Every application is different because the circumstances are unique.
it's the one more architectural question because we have the architects in the room. You're coming out 12 feet from that building. You certainly don't need 12 feet, of course, to put in
It's
it.
10'8".
Oh, I thought it was 12, but 11'9", I thought it said, but whatever. There's no access from above? So this is like an awning, right? You cannot step
Not a
onto this sunbound now, right?
And in fact, we've gone through great lengths to make it very super
Okay.
diversity, so it doesn't violate that.
And there was something about a sculpture somewhere. Is the 88th the new sculpture? I thought I read somewhere that there's a new sculpture. Is that the sculpture that's being referred to? So to Rose's point, she's absolutely right, that now you are taking over sidewalk and putting in a new sculpture, which arguably the number's 88, the address of your property, I would argue is not an artistic sculpture, but is in fact the number of your building. So this is an advertising moment, and I would only say in terms of, I know, but I just really feel strongly that this point of why something gets done, this is not about accessibility, this is about a new entry to your building, and that is what you're asking us to evaluate. And so to throw in accessibility as a way to say, well, that's why we're doing it, is really not completely honest, and that's something I just want
I
to
take
say.
offense at that
Well,
because this is purely.
Well said, Alice.
It's honest, it's just
All right,
perspective.
good.
Okay, sorry.
Rosa, can you be really quick?
Yes,
Everybody.
I would just love it if in our resolution, no matter which way it goes, that we state that we are 100% in support of making it more energy efficient and accessible, and especially the accessible part, and that we are fully confident that no matter which way you do it, whether it be interior, exterior, you as a firm are fully capable of doing it in the best possible way. And
Thank you.
so you have.
Can we also on that note add, when you're doing the mechanisms for the map, you only gave us the 2 entrances and exits, but in reality, if the 88 is there, then it's actually,
Well, you're talking about like 10 square feet. Is the canopy permitted? The difference is, by the way, you're talking about a 0.06 differential in the floor area or 0.0006 in terms of the entire building. You know, they have over 500,000 square feet of space in the building.
Is it happy, guys, we can do the architectural stuff
Yeah,
another time. We've got to vote, we gotta move on.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's go.
So let's go. I said,
Committee's a no. So It's going to be a negative resolution with all the lovely warehouses we just discussed. I'll call the vote. And
Second.
thank you. So we can do this by acclamation. We'll assume you're a yes on the negative resolution, which means you're in disfavor of the plan. Unless you either unmute or tell me now, and I will go on record, I'm a no on the resolution.
I'm a no on the resolution.
It's a no.
Well, wait a
I'm
minute.
a yes.
You're misunderstanding. I think you're,
It's
yes,
a
yes, it's
negative
a negative resolution. The resolution says no to the exterior.
Is voting against it.
A yes is a vote against it, a no is a vote in favor for it.
Oh,
Because
you
It
changed
is-
my mind.
But, okay, whatever.
Sorry,
again.
thank you. It's a bit of a twister, right?
I got it.
I'm not supporting this.
You're a yes on the
Please.
resolution, Vicky. I understand your vote. Is there
Thank
any
you
abstention?
so much. I apologize. Thank you.
I'm a yes on the resolution. Thank you, Patrick. Laura.
The motion passes, which is a negative resolution, and that was,
We didn't review what's in the resolution though, so I just want to make sure we picked up all the
We're-
points about the maintenance of the park, the idea that 88 is considered a public sculpture. A lot of these points that are raised, I think those are all going in the resolution in the warehouse clauses, because I'm voting with that understanding to show what we have talked about tonight.
we'll work as much of it in as we can, but we've got to be reasonable in the length of these things. We're not putting in every comment that's come out in the meeting, whether
Well, I'd
it's
like
for or
to.
against.
Well, I would just say that
We gotta move on, honest to God.
Why don't you pass around what you write?
he does, he will.
Well, if I have the time to get it done before the full board where I can benefit from everybody's input on that, we'll do it. Otherwise, we'll do it in the usual course, which is that people can offer amendments at the full board. All right, this one's closed. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 2, our friends from the Downtown Alliance are here and have been very patiently waiting to give us our much long awaited update on quarterly numbers and all that good stuff and maybe some not so good stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, I know, like a mix, it'll be a mix, yeah.
Everybody know Josh Nakowitz?
Okay. Okay.
No. I'm just gonna test something out. Come on. Okay, here is your clicker. And when you're ready.
This was.
Give me 1 second, figure out my share. Okay, you are on.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, good evening, everybody. For those who don't know me, I am Josh Nakowitz. I'm the Senior VP for Economic Development at the Downtown Alliance. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I'm going to share with you some updates about what we've been up to at the Downtown Alliance and a bit of a market update based on what we saw in 2023 across the different sectors of the Lower Manhattan.
Is it busy?
It should work.
What direction is it pointing?
Let's see.
Pointed.
Work for me 1 second. Well, I'll be your clicker person.
Thank you very much.
There we go.
Go to the next slide and then the one after that. So we'll start off with office leasing. And just before we get into this, the first quarter of 2024 just ended. We will be releasing our first quarter market report probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks. So these numbers are a little bit out of date at this point, but this is looking at our year in review report. That is sort of a synopsis of everything that we saw happening in the market in 2024. 2023. So we'll start off with bad news. The office market in Lower Manhattan is still substantially challenged. We saw about 2.8 million square feet of leasing downtown over the course of 2023. That was down 9.1% from the total leasing activity that we saw in 2022. The slight sort of leavening of that bad news is that Lower Manhattan was not alone in 2023. All 3 of the Manhattan office markets saw similarly sized downturns in total leasing across the year. The office market continued to be soft through 2022. We'll get into vacancy for a little bit. It remains very high and still some large blocks of vacant space that we can talk about a little bit more next. The next slide, Tim, please. We did, on a little bit of a bright spot, we did see a substantial increase in relocation activities. Again, these are businesses that are relocating into Lower Manhattan, either from outside New York City or more often from other parts of the Manhattan and Brooklyn office. Some big names, Tower Research Capital, that took about 120,000 square feet at 120 Broadway, StubHub, that 3 World Trade Center, MakerBot, which is a 3D printing company that took a substantial about 33,000 square feet at 100 Pearl Street. One of the takeaways from this that I think is positive for the market is that we're seeing relocation activity, not just at the World Trade Center and Brookfield Place and what we're calling sort of trophy Class A properties, but we're seeing more activity in some of the older B buildings like 120 Broadway and buildings like 100 Pearl Street on Water Street. There's still a lot of work to do, and the market is still very challenged. But there are some sort of slight improvements that we've seen on that front. Can you go to the next slide, Tim?
Here? I'm a slow scroller.
Okay. That being said, as I said earlier, vacancy rates remain stubbornly very, very high in Lower Manhattan. We closed out the year at a hair under 24% vacant across all asset classes in the district. As you see from this chart, in Midtown South saw a sort of spike in vacancy and is now basically tied with Lower Manhattan as a similar vacancy rate. We are still a little bit higher than Midtown South. So the vacancy rate is still a real challenge for us. It moderated very, very slightly over the course of 2023. I wouldn't read too much into that. We still have a lot of very large blocks of vacant space on the market in the district, buildings like 60 Wall Street, that's 1.5 million square feet, is entirely vacant. 111 Wall, large vacant building. There's a lot of vacancy at 80 Pine. So there are a handful of very large buildings with substantial amounts of vacancy. I will also say that this is the overall vacancy that looks at the rate across different asset classes. And if we look at Class B buildings, especially in certain parts of Lower Manhattan, like sort of what we call sort of the financial districts, and we call the insurance district, which is sort of Fulton Street and north up towards City Hall, the vacancy rate is substantially higher, approaching 30%, if not over that for some of those areas, than for some of those asset classes.
Sorry, can I ask a question regarding, so that, the chart on the, that was, the chart that was on the right side was incredibly worrying because you see that and you recognize that in Midtown and Midtown South, the rates are dollar per square foot are essentially back to where they were. And for us, it's just taken a dive down and stayed there. So
yes, there are positives and negatives to that. If you own a large office building in Lower Manhattan, you're probably not thrilled with that graph. The other positives that Lower Manhattan has always had a substantial pricing advantage compared to Midtown and Midtown South, right? And the dynamic that we've seen in the Lower Manhattan office market during previous financial crises and previous real estate downturns is that when tenants and sort of the buyers in the market can get good deals with very, very nice high-end buildings in what really is, for all intents and purposes, prime Manhattan locations like Plaza districts or Midtown East, they're going to take those and take advantage of favorable market conditions. And then when the prices start to equalize a little bit and they're going to get priced out of those markets, they come to the Lower Manhattan and take advantage of that pricing advantage. So it's not as sort of catastrophic as it looks. As you guys have remembered, there's always been that delta between Midtown and
but we never bounced back here, and they did.
It's been challenged, and the rates have gone down over the last 2 or 3 years. They dropped at the beginning of COVID, and they have stayed around $55. I will also say that is $55 a square foot is closer to sort of the historic average in Lower Manhattan. We were at record high prices going into COVID, so that also.
Yeah.
Sort of sense, sorry. Yes.
Does that also have to do with the fact that there are far more Class B and C buildings in Lower Manhattan from the age stock than Midtown?
Yes and no. I think it also reflects, similar to that line of thought, it also reflects newer buildings that are coming online in Midtown. Right, so the Midtown market is doing well. I mean, it's sort of more reflective of how the Midtown market is responding to new office space at Hudson Yards and Vanderbilt. Very, very aggressive.
Right, they have a lot of brand new Class A buildings that are opening in Midtown. If you just tons of them right now, which we know in a lot of the office buildings in Lower Manhattan are also now starting to convert to.
Self-storm, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, buildings like One Vanderbilt and some of those Hudson Yards and Trophy Main buildings are renting at very, very high prices, at, 120, 130.
So can I just ask, I'm a little curious why we're comparing first quarter of 23 to 22? Why aren't we more up to date than that?
Looking at the year in review for 2023, the first quarter of 2024 just ended.
So we're gonna look at
So
the
we
whole
haven't
year.
This is the whole year for 2023. So we have not done our analysis of the first quarter ending yet. Well, the first quarter just ended. The quarter ended. So we're working on doing that analysis. Moving on to residential. The residential market continues to be very strong in Lower Manhattan. Pricing continues to be very aggressive. I think that's a good thing or not, depends on your perspective, and where you're coming from that. Rental prices mediated a little bit at the end of last year after reaching a really extraordinary peak in the third quarter. But they are still very high. Median rents in Lower Manhattan ended the year at about $4,600, which is still about 16% higher than it was pre-pandemic. And we are continuing to track about 5,000, almost 5,200 units in 16 residential buildings. They're either under construction or in development. Some of those, a much smaller number of units are actually under construction. When we say in development, those are buildings that are sort of moving somewhere along the development. We can move to the next slide, please.
Absolutely. And I'm dying because the clicker does work. Just,
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Maybe I screwed it up.
Maybe it's off the USB.
So residential conversions, as Tammy just mentioned, ongoing topic of conversation. We currently have, and I want to be very clear about this, we have 3 buildings that we are currently tracking at the Downtown Alliance as being in the conversion process. So what we mean by that is 3 buildings, and it's 4 New York Plaza, which is 4 New York Plaza / 25 Water Street, 55 Broad, and 90 John Street. Those are buildings that are either under construction, or we know that they're sort of very close to sort of doing actual work on it. There are several other buildings that we are not currently listing. So if you look at our data on our website, it's not buildings like 222 Broadway, or 111 Wall Street. If you talk to people in the real estate world, they'll tell you they're all the buildings are looking to convert. We'll start tracking those when there are more firm, sort of confirmed plans being reported publicly in the press. But we have 3 buildings currently that are going through that process. 4 New York Plaza, as you see here, has made a tremendous amount of progress on that conversion. That was, until a recently announced project in Midtown, the largest residential conversion in the country, at about 1,300 units in one project. 222 Broadway was just announced a week or 2 ago that it's being sold. That will almost certainly be converted.
Same group, right?
That's right. And then 111 Wall Street on Wall and South Street is heavily rumored to be.
So Josh, just to clarify, when you say 5,200 that are either new, in construction or in development, that does include, for example, 25 Water.
It would include these 3 buildings, 25,
Currently tracking,
55, yeah.
but not the ones that are.
Not like 220.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
We can move to the next slide. So retail is a little bit of a brighter spot. The retail market did fairly well in 2023. We still have a decent amount of vacancy in the district. I don't want to oversell it. But we did have some exciting new retail and entertainment and fitness openings in Lower Manhattan last year. We tracked 81 new retail openings, only about 40 retail closures. So we actually tracked a fairly substantial net increase in retail in the neighborhood. I'm sure some of you read some of the big name openings, the Metropolis at the Performing Arts Center, 6 Points new brew pub at Brookfield Place. Poets House reopened, which we're very excited to see in Battery Park City, which is a great neighborhood institution. Mercer Labs, the Museum of Art and Technology, at the old Century 21 Bank building, which is an interesting experience. I understand they're doing fairly well there, and it's an interesting use for the building. And we also saw the Court 16 open at 20 Liberty, and the Open Squatch on 100 Pearl Street, which I want to add as I think that those are important indicators of where some of the retail market in Lower Manhattan could be going in the future as developers, property owners start to try to think creatively about how they can use some of the more difficult to lease spaces that would have been sort of obvious candidates for sort of a big credit tenant like a Dwayne Reed or CVS pre-COVID. And those tenants aren't really in the market and looking to expand at this point and thinking about creative uses like the open squash or the Court 16 that serve both an office population and the residential community downtown. And next slide, Jamie.
These are large venue, large corporate entities. What's happening with small business retail?
It's been a mixed bag, to be honest. Again, we didn't see a huge number of closures last year. We've been tracking retail vacancy in Lower Manhattan, and I think to our pleasant surprise, we haven't seen since COVID an explosion of smaller retailers and smaller businesses not being able to make it. I think if you talk to retailers in the neighborhood, some of them are doing well, some of them are not. Obviously, the businesses that are more dependent and their business models have been more dependent on the 9-to-5 office crowd are struggling a lot more than businesses that have figured out how to either were always really serving the residential population or have been savvy enough to figure out how they can shift what they're doing to speak more directly to the needs of residents downtown.
On that note, I know that pre-COVID, we were looking at probably a 60,000 residential population and the 300,000 sort of daily commuter population. What does that number look like? What does that split look like today?
We estimate that we have about 66,000 residents in Lower Manhattan. That's our estimate. That's not a census stack number. That's our estimate based on the number of units and we
In
apply
your catchment zone.
in down, so it's to be clear, that's downtown,
South
we define it below
Chambers.
Chambers Street, right, including Battery Park City. Yeah.
Correct. So that's something that I always want to reiterate. They are our lead bid
Right.
in Lower Manhattan, but
It doesn't.
sadly for us, it doesn't encompass everybody in Lower Manhattan.
I know, tell me about it, but, just saying, but, and what's the commute in population?
So we track, so when we say there's, the numbers we were using before COVID were about 250,000 private sector workers in Lower Manhattan, so about 30,000 government workers. We get that data from the New York State Department of Labor. That data always lags by 2 or 3 quarters. The last number I saw was somewhere in the range of 225,000 private sector workers. So we did lose a decent amount of that workforce. The question, obviously, the $64,000 question is how many of those 224,000 people are actually in their offices on a, Monday through Friday, day-to-day basis, right?
So we don't know.
And there are varying answers to that. I won't get into the Castle Systems data that you see reported in the press. That's a whole, a whole other meeting about that. I need to very privacy violation. We have been using a service called Placer, which is one of these sort of cell phone tracking. It's creepy, once you really learn about what they do, you will, throw your phone into the river. But they're being used more and more, sort of in the real estate industry, and what they do is track location tracking on sort of apps you have on your cell phone, and they have an algorithm that they run through the data they get from a series of apps. And that gives them an estimate of how many people, how many workers and residents and tourists are in a given jurisdiction. So working with Placer, we started doing an analysis last year looking at a subset of about 10 or 12 prominent buildings in Lower Manhattan. There's a mix of Class A, Class B, World Trade Center, Financial District, Water Street, trying to give a good mix. And the average that we were seeing through the sort of second half of last year was about 70% occupancy in the middle of the week on Wednesdays. That varies dramatically. So we've seen buildings like Brookfield Place, the World Trade Center, they'll be doing some of them even better than that, 75, 80% midweek. Some of the buildings on Water Street that are sort of more Class B buildings that are further from transit, importantly, will be more in the 40s and 50s. But it is a bit of an art form that nobody can really tell you absolutely how many people are in these buildings on a day-to-day basis. So the topic of great debate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. So placemaking and events, I'll tell you a little bit about what we've been doing with some of our activations. And Tammy, if we can move to the next slide, please. 2 projects that we wrapped up. One, Art Above the Mantle, which I think was a great activation. I'm personally really proud of that we activated. We activated 7 different storefronts up and down Nassau Street, with a couple on John and a few at 20th Liberty, with 10 New York City-based artists in December for 6 weeks. I think it was a great success. These artists really came in and put a lot of sort of sweat equity into transforming these spaces. We generated over $11,000 in sales that all went directly 100% to the artists. We had a series of community events, 12 community events that were attended by several hundred people. Some of those were in the afternoons during the week. Some of them were on Saturdays. We had a lot of families and kids coming. So it was a really nice activation. And 3 of the artists are actually still in their spaces. So it was successful enough that the owner said, this is great, we like what we're doing, and they gave them the space for another 6 months, which is nice. We also just wrapped up our domino effect activation that you see on the right at 28 Liberty. It's one of our winter sort of light-based activations that we've been doing now for several years. It was a great project, got a lot of positive press. Feedback that we heard from everybody who's, especially kids at the school across the street, was really nice. Going on to the next slide. Upcoming projects, we have our Art All Around concert series. We did this last year and we're bringing it back again. It's going to be 6 weeks every Wednesday in the afternoon, starting at like 12:30, kicking off June 12th. All New York City based artists. We have a great vendor that we work with. It's a lot of sort of jazz and blues and sort of New Orleans music. It's funk. It's really fun. We're going to be doing them at 140 Broadway, in the Plaza in front of 140 Broadway, and then also at the World Trade Center. We're still working on the location at the World Trade Center campus. Next, and then just quickly, we're doing a e-waste and recycling shred-a-thon Sunday, April 14th. Rain or shine. This is pretty self-explanatory. If you've got any junk sitting around your apartment that you need to get rid of, I'm sure everybody does. These are always very popular events. And then the next thing, please. Finally, we have an LM Live event. This is our series that we've been doing. Some of these have been movies that have been really well attended. This is going to be a talk about navigating childcare, and think about solutions for New York City families. These events are all free, I believe. But please try to sign up on our website. They do sell out. And then finally, Dine Around Downtown, our annual food event, is coming back on June 4th at 28 Liberty Plaza. This is always a great event. All local restaurants. It's always an enormous amount of fun. So something to definitely put on your calendars. And then finally, we were asked to talk a little bit about DOT Plaza management and our relationship with DOT on some of the plazas in Lower Manhattan. We actually only have a relationship with DOT, an official relationship with DOT for 2 plaza spaces downtown. The Water Whitehall Plaza and the Quincy Slip Plazas. These were the 2 plazas that were created as temporary sort of public space interventions after Hurricane Sandy. They are both closed currently because the EDC is doing a comprehensive streetscape project. Both these plazas are being substantially renovated and I think dramatically improved. When that project is done, we will have maintenance responsibilities here, which will include cleaning and trash removal, doing graffiti, sort of basic cleanliness, snow removal, landscape maintenance, and doing seasonal tables and chairs, which you see around the district are red cafe tables. Yes, Dan.
So I just, thank you very much. Really excited to see, at least to know that they're being improved and upgraded. That's awesome. On average, what kind of seasonal tables and chairs and street furniture do you have in there?
We do cafe tables. We have small, they're sort of, I wouldn't even know the size, speaking over their square tables. We do seating, the same sort of red tables and chairs we do in other parts of the district. And they're fairly well used. People like them. Yeah.
Fairly well used, people like them, and they're free for the public.
They're free for the public, absolutely. They're all, none of them are reserved for any sort of restaurant, or they're all open to the public. Yeah.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, I know we've been asking questions throughout, but questions for Josh or Tony?
Is this the last?
I have a question. I have my hand raised up.
Sorry, Becky, I lost my.
It's okay, I'll wait my turn.
Right, there you go, Becky.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Patrick. I want to make a couple of comments and a couple of notes. So quality of life. One thing we learned over the last 3 or 4 years with COVID is that 40 to 60 hours a week in an office where we're totally away from our homes and our families and our pets might not be the best way to live life. So while I understand that commercial rents are an issue, I'm not willing to be a sacrifice for that. So I think that maybe we should all think about a different typology. There are different options. Conditions make us move forward. And I would like to make that a comment to our board and to you. Second of all, the market rate apartments, I'm not going to comment on commercial rents, but I will say that downtown Manhattan has become absolutely unaffordable to average professionals, single professionals, let alone professionals with families. Rents are out of control, and almost everything that we get today is at market rate, which is requiring a single professional to make more than $160,000 a year. That is not that is not doable. I am extremely concerned about what has happened to Fulton Subway Station with Westfield leaving us. And that brings me to my point. Frequently, because all we get these days are large developments, large projects, large developments. You all know that a mom and pop shop don't even know how to reach a landlord of this size and say, hey, I'm thinking of doing a shoe shine shop or a small gallery or whatever. It has been my experience that our typology has diminished small time businesses. And so all we get is large stores, you know, large phone companies. It does not invite for small businesses to participate in rentals. And it's too bad because then we just don't have a variety that I think we all love about New York. It used to be a part of our lives, and I wish we could go back to that. So that's my comment. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Vicki. Alice?
Yeah, I was just curious, you know, in light of what Vicki says, what everyone's talking about all the time in terms of affordability. Is the Downtown Alliance just offer panels? Are they working in any way towards really coming up with solutions to problem affordability? You're bringing on 5,000 plus units. What does the Alliance do with your fantastic array of developers in creative, thoughtful ideas with the kind of power structure you have and you're tapped into to come up with, you know, ways to look at this more?
I appreciate the question. It's definitely, we are 100% in agreement with the community board that there is not nearly enough affordable housing in Lower Manhattan. To indirectly answer your question, I think the challenge is there's not nearly enough affordable housing here, and there's not nearly enough affordable housing in any community in New York City. We certainly advocate in partnership with some of our elected officials and some other folks in the real estate industry to try to make changes, to bring in the sort of incentives I think we believe are required to incentivize the creation of more affordable housing and deep levels of affordable housing. We are one voice of many in a very, very, very complex, politically fraught conversation in Albany. I wish we were as politically powerful as we make it out to be, but we're part of that conversation. But I don't think, to be very honest with you, that we're a powerful enough group that we're really sort of moving the needle on some of those conversations. It's a battle in the state legislature.
Right. Alice, may I just add that when we mean affordable, I think that these days we've sort of lost that definition. 4 years ago, living in downtown Wall Street, downtown Manhattan, do you understand that as a single professional, an architect of 38 years experience, do you understand that someone like me could not afford to rent, let alone buy. So affordability is a definition that we need to revise. We're not even talking about a family. We're not talking about a family of 4 where somebody might be making 120 or 140 or 160 supporting. One single person at 160 cannot afford to live downtown, and that is a serious issue.
Richard? Not to diminish the issue of affordable housing for people, I want to sort of change the question toward small business and commercial occupancy. To what degree is the Downtown Alliance active in trying to take advantage of the reduced rental rates that you demonstrated and work to improve the accessibility of space for small businesses, better rental options and so on?
Well, I would
Are there things that you're doing that, or you can do to do that?
I would argue that that's everything that we do, right? That's really the core of what we do as an organization, is try to encourage leasing, both for office space and for retail and small business. On the small business side, we provide a whole suite of services for small businesses.
That's what I meant.
We try to provide assistance to small businesses. We've got a dedicated liaison in the office who works solely on my team with small businesses. We've run a series of specialized programs for them over the years. And then really everything we do as an organization, from our clean and safe programs, we're trying to make the neighborhood look sort of attractive and inviting and friendly, to the research that my team produces, sort of laying out why Lower Manhattan is a great place to do business and why this is a place that you can locate your business. To the work that we do on our marketing team, which run a huge marketing campaign that is still running around the city, trying to raise Lower Manhattan's profile, both with decision makers on the real estate side. We're looking to relocate possible corporate tenants who are looking to come downtown, and with people who are entrepreneurs and small businesses who might not consider Lower Manhattan as a place to locate their business. We're trying to think of ways to do that all the time.
Let me just make it, so I appreciate that exactly what my question was. I know of small nonprofit organizations that are looking for cheap, even free space that provides community services. Does the Downtown Alliance assist in helping those organizations find space?
We try not to sort of make ourselves brokers, right? 'Cause that's not our business. But if we are contacted by an organization like that, and if you have people who are looking for space, please do send them my way. I'm happy to have a chat with them. We can do an initial space search. We can look on CoStar and pull up a list of buildings that we think would meet their requirements, and then direct them to the appropriate brokers or property owners to have further conversations.
Thank you.
All right, Josh, thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity. Have a good night.
All right, you do. And I get that, I believe we are adjourned.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Wow, I figured out how to name it.
Thank you.
This is the first one.
Just
Free space is tough.
How's it going?
Right.